Rabbi.
Good day, folks. Welcome back to another episode live from Jerusalem to our wonderful friends in Europe and beyond with another episode with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg, who's been sharing so much beautiful Torah with us out of Genesis. We so are thankful that he takes the time out of his very busy schedule to do so because, let's face it, Torah is life to us. So without any further ado, we're going to jump back into the class. Renat, how are you this morning? We got Daniel down in Bogota, Colombia, my friend Timothy in Nova Scotia, Canada. We also have a gentleman named Sutkai, I'm not familiar with. And of course, Rabbi Chaim from Jerusalem.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. For us, it's evening. Also for Renat, it's evening. Okay, Timothy, and the other side of the world, you're upside down. So for you, it's the morning now. But it's okay. We say. How are you doing, everybody? Everything is okay. Still in the same world. Yes, at least do with your hands, so I'll know that you're alive. Everything is okay. Hey, great. And Sutkai, I think is one of the friends of Renat and Vida, and also Arima, I think, no, right, Renat? You know Sutkai? I think that he is from Lithuania.
The friends of Matas and Ayman.
Matas, okay, fair enough. Not a problem.
As far as I know.
Okay, fair enough. Because I remember from last time when Matas asked us a very important question, and because it's also related to things that we've learned in the Babylon Talmud this week. We have also some sort of a schedule. There's a very big ceremony this week because we finished. It's every 7.5 years that people are managing to do a circle of all of the Babylon Talmud. So we did a very big celebration in the United States, in Israel, and the beginning of the Babylon Talmud is explaining the same principle that Matas asked last week. So I said, let's give an example, and then we will say a few words about things that he said. And it's a bit jumping to something, a bit in advance or a bit continuous on in Genesis, not in the chapters that we are dealing now, but it's still a very important point. So let's learn the Bible. We are here for learning the Bible.
Exactly.
Dan, are we broadcasting like everything like usual? Everything is okay?
We're broadcasting, but Rabbi, I'm not broadcasting both on Facebook and YouTube. I'm dealing with the problem with that Caster multi-stream software. All I can say is the last couple I did with it were sketchy, and they dropped too many frames. And so I'm just broadcasting on YouTube. I'll put it right up on Facebook as soon as we're done. That way we got a perfect HD. I've got snow going on here in British Columbia, so I don't want to jeopardize a good broadcast. I'd rather have good quality because we know you spend so much time in your study to give us good Torah, and we so appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. So I will say also two things. First of all, thank you, Renat, also for yesterday. It was on a personal level, but thank you very much for this. It will help us with the renewing the site of the Noach Hydro Center. So thank you for that. Oh, good, Matas. You see, it was worthwhile waiting a bit. And another thing, Dan, I had yesterday a very, very long discussion. I must say this also, mention this also, with Scotty and Terry from Tennessee in Cleveland. You know those two?
The Heltons, yes. Oh, and Terry Hayes? Was it Terry Hayes as well from Tennessee?
Yes, from Tennessee, and also Scotty with him.
Wonderful gentleman.
Yes, and I said we organized the meeting of an hour, and it was at the end 2 hours, and it's just only the beginning of the journey. So I want to tell you, even though they're in a very far distance from you, but we are organizing, few things that we were going to do.
Wonderful gentleman. So love working with him.
The United States and Canada are going to be on the map. We will continue on. So I wanted to tell you this also. With this, and let's dive inside now to the Bible because we are here for learning. So let's go on. I want us to start.
May I ask you just a short question? How do you think will there be in some future Talmud written for Noahites, let's say that will include half of the volumes that are in the real Talmud, and Noahites would also have to learn one page a day, and then they'll have celebration, let's say every 3 years, that they will gather from all over the world and in a stadium to celebrate.
I think this is a very good question and a very good point. I will tell you that the Hebrew nation, and here Vilnius is coming, cooperating with what I'm going to say now. In the Hebrew nation, we had the Babylon Talmud for almost 1700 years, okay? And only then in Vilnius, they printed the Talmud, the Babylon Talmud. It took them 7 years to print the Talmud. By the way, I have a copy of the original that was printed in Vilnius because my grandparents, they came from Vilnius, and I have a copy of one of the books, and it's very nice in red printed, in real printing, not like today that you doing all sorts of very fast printing and everything else. And it took them 7 years to print this Babylon Talmud. And only 100 years ago, so we're speaking about 1900 years from we started learning the Babylon Talmud, only 100 years ago, someone came with the idea to take the printed...
Rabbi Shapiro.
Exactly, Rabbi Shapiro from Lublin. And he had the idea of taking the printed Talmud in Vilnius, and he said, like, they divided it to learn it every day. So we're speaking about a very, very long journey that took around almost 2,000 years. So you're asking Renat today, we just finished to write down the Shulchan Aruch for the Noahide people. And I must say that hopefully we already managed to put it on the site, and I hope very much that another 2 weeks from now, I will manage to tell all of you that we have it also publicized, that we can people can go and see it, not like I gave you to 1 or 2 people underneath the table, I will say it like that they saw it. But so there are things that will take time. Also, to write down the Talmud for non-Jewish people, it will take time. It will take time, and part of what we are doing today is also reorganizing, I will say, those lessons that I'm giving, not only me, that others also are giving. We are reorganizing the study and the learning and adjusting it in the right way for non-Jewish people, because there are also a lot of things that are very inside for the Jewish people, just like the Kohanim, okay, the high priest, when they're learning things that some of the things that they're learning are not related or not relevant for every Jewish in the world. So on the same level, there are a lot of things. And we have here, you see in back of me, you see a few books, but today we have all of those things on the, you see, on the very small on key, very small on key. And we have here I have something around 24,000 books. This I'm usually going with this. You see, this is my car key and everything else. And when I was in Vilnius, also I have this one, but this one is a small one, okay? We have something like 80,000 books, but it took us 2,000 years to do that. So it will take time, not everything in one day, but we're starting the right way. And hopefully it will be much faster, because the world today is running much, much faster than in the old days. So be prepared, you're just in the first, I'll say, with the head of the people that are doing those things. So it's okay. We're in the right way.
We look forward to it, Rabbi. We so do.
Let's hope.
Rabbi, I have 2 questions, if I can, about the Talmud. Can I?
Just a moment. Renat, what you said, I didn't hear you.
Let's hope that in our generation we will have Talmud for Noahites.
Amen.
We'll have a few things. Amen. We'll start. Yes. Okay. Yes. Matas, I prepared something to answer you about this last two questions. So yes.
Okay. So two questions about Talmud. One is short question. Am I right? Not on. This is Yitzhak. So not only in Vilnius Talmud was printed, and now it's a meter of the Talmud, printed Talmud. But another thing that Vilna Gaon himself brought it to the mainstream, brought it back to active learning, because still Vilna Gaon Talmud was like forgotten and wasn't used in communities. And after Vilna Gaon, they started learning Gemara, Shas, or Talmud again. Is this right or no? I read it somewhere.
No. The Babylon, no, you're doing a confusion between the Babylon Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud, okay? What you said is right with the Jerusalem Talmud, not with the Babylon Talmud. The Jerusalem Talmud it wasn't forgotten, okay? But it was, I will show you a copy of the Jerusalem Talmud. If you know to read a bit of Hebrew, something fell down here. You know to read the Hebrew, I hope it's the right way. So this is the Yerushalmi, the Talmud Yerushalmi. Okay, you can see it here. But the Talmud Yerushalmi also was being all the time, people learned it, but only unique people. But the Babylon Talmud was always people learned it. I will say that we have a lot of books that you see here, the library on this side of the wall, but I have the same thing on the other side. By the way, I don't have a big library, okay? Don't think that I have a big library, but you can see here it's very small one. If you will go to big rabbis, you will see big library.
Oh, you're too humble.
But the main, I would say the main. Just a moment, I lost you. I think everything is okay.
Okay, Rabbi.
Okay, so the main. No, what it is doing? Just a moment. Just a moment. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I lost you something.
Yeah, we lost your Chabad notes.
Yes, I see. In a moment it will come back. Just a moment.
Gotta love those technical difficulties.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what? I'm sorry for a moment. Let me see that I'm back. That everything is back. I know where I lost it. Okay. Now I see you, and in a moment also you're going to see the Chabad back. Because we want also, here it is. I'm sorry. Okay, can you see me now? Okay. So we have a lot of books all over the years. Everybody spoke with us. Everybody learned this Babylon Talmud, and this is the main hardcore that brought us all the way of how to behave, how to act, and also most of the Shulchan Aruch for the Noahide is being through this Babylon Talmud that we have, and this is something that everybody is learning. But let's try to learn. Sorry.
Can I? This is a very short question. So first one was about Vilna Gaon and Talmud, and another question is, can technically Noahide learn on himself? For example, learn Gemara. Can he learn Talmud? For example, I joined this live virtual classes through YouTube. They give Daf Yomi. They give one sheet of Talmud every day. So I just joined and started learning with them.
I think that on my site, and I have no problem to share this again with all of you. On my site, I have a post that is saying, let's break the myth. And it says that everybody is allowed today to learn Torah. The main question is how much it's relevant to learn the Babylon Talmud for a non-Jewish person.
Right.
If you're asking me, I'm not recommending that, but you are allowed to do that. Okay, those are two different things. I'm not recommending that because there is a lot of, I will say, there is a lot of nuance that are related only to the Hebrew nation, and to go inside to this, I think it's might be too much. So I'm not recommending to do that. This is why also I'm teaching the Bible, and what I prepared today, you will see. It's also an answer for what you asked last week, and you will see why to learn the Bible on this stage, it's enough. And to learn the Babylon
Good point.
Talmud, it's one step, too much. This is why I'm not recommending. If you really want and you have a desire, you can do that. I think that it's a bit going down from the main tracks. I'll say it like that for the main thing, because we have so many things still to learn on the Bible that are related and will put us in the right tracks. I will tell you more than that. Usually, I will say to you something else. You ask about the Babylon Talmud. Until the Holocaust, most of the people, most of the Hebrew nation, they learned the Babylon Talmud, but not like today, only 1 page a day. They learned it something like 5, 6, 8, 12 pages a day, and they did a cycle of the Babylon Talmud every 2, 3, 6 months, something like that. Today, most of the Hebrew nation, most of the people are not learning the Babylon Talmud in the way that they learned before the Holocaust, but they are learning the insights that I'm teaching here through the Bible. And it's even one step even more important, because it's the right mindset how to live. And if you're asking me, and Noahide people or non-Jewish people, to learn the Babylon Talmud, it's a bit going off the track. Yes, something like that. So again, I'm saying you are allowed, you have permission, it's permitted, everything is okay. But if you're asking me, I think the best at this time is to learn the Bible and to understand with the Bible exactly what is going on.
Okay? But Matt, as for someone as advanced as you,
no. Like I'm saying, it's okay. It's not it is permitted. You can do that. It's okay.
Rabbi, but
thank you.
Back to Talmud. I understand how important it is to study Torah and understand what God expects from us. But so in my understanding, Talmud teaches us about the daily matters, about daily practical life and the law. I mean, what we are allowed to do, what we are not allowed to do. So maybe it's good that Noahides will have classes on Shulchan Aruch about more practical matters.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we one of the things that I think that we are supposed to do, not only the Bible, but also the practical of the Shulchan Aruch. And I'm intending of doing that. In another, I told you, we already put something like, we are organizing it now, that the Shulchan Aruch will be on the internet, on our site. And one of the things that I'm intending of doing, that it will be that we will learn, just a moment, let me close down this noisy thing. Just a moment, sorry. So one of the things that I'm intending of doing is to teach every week. We're going to learn something like 3/4 of an hour on the Bible, and also half an hour on the Shulchan Aruch that we're going to publish, and to join those two things, because those two things are important. Okay, so we are going to go one step one step forward with the things that we're going to learn.
Excellent.
If you're asking me, the next thing that I wanted to ask all of us is how we're going to broaden this lesson. But this is something else. We're not going to speak about this today. Okay, let's try to learn a bit of the Bible. It's okay. Are you you giving me permission to teach the Bible now? I'm referring to the question that Matas asked last week about the levels of the deepness, also the deeper levels, the profound levels that we have in the Bible. And therefore, I want us to see some sort of levels and how exactly, I want to show an example of things, okay, with all of us. So let's start with a very known story with Abraham. And we're going to read now something like, just a moment, we're going to read now, I think that we read it once, but we emphasized one thing, and now we're going to emphasize something else. I want to read the first 14 verses, and please, as usual, Dan, this is why you have such a good...
It's in my honor, Rabbi. Okay, so 1 to 14. We're in Genesis chapter 18?
Exactly.
Okay. Now the Lord appeared to him in the plains of Mamre, and he was sitting at the entrance of the tent when the day was hot. And he lifted his eyes and saw, and behold, 3 men were standing beside him. And he saw, and he ran toward them from the entrance of the tent. And he prostrated himself to the ground. And he said, "My lords, if only I have found favor in your eyes, please do not pass on from beside your servant. Please let a little water be taken, and bathe your feet, and recline under the tree. And I will take a morsel of bread and sustain your hearts. Afterwards you shall pass on, because you have passed by your servant." And they said, "So shall you do as you have spoken." And Abraham hastened to the tent of Sarah, and he said, "Hasten 3 seah of meal and fine flour, knead and make cakes." And to the cattle did Abraham run, and he took a calf, tender and good, and he gave it to the youth, and he hastened to prepare it. And he took cream and milk and the calf that he had prepared, and he placed them before them, and he was standing over them under the tree, and they ate. And they said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" And he said, "Behold, in the tent." And he said, "I will surely return to you at this time next year. And behold, your wife, Sarah, will have a son." And Sarah heard from the entrance of the tent, and it was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, coming on in years. Sarah had ceased to have the way of the woman. And Sarah laughed within herself, saying, "After I have become worn out, will I have smooth flesh? And also my master is old." And the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, Is it really true that I will give birth, although I am old? Is anything hidden from the Lord at the appointed time? I will return to you at this time next year, and Sarah will have a son."
Okay, we learned something from this thing, and we showed how the Hebrew nation is learning those verses, especially the last verses from 11 to 14. And my main question is, can we explain a bit the story? What are we learning from this story on Abraham's behavior? Please, you can open the microphone and tell me, what are we learning from this story? How exactly Abraham is coping? What exactly the story is telling us?
Abraham was very involved in Kiruv, and he was striving to teach more of guests. And after circumcision, when he saw these three men, he decided to please them, just to get them closer to Hashem.
Why do you say closer to Hashem? I never see here anything that is related to closer to Hashem.
I remember that he was doing those things till circumcision, he gave food to people just not for a payment, but for them to say bracha.
What you're saying here is very nice, but it's not written down. Okay, it's something that you've heard, you learned, and those are things that if I'm looking on those verses, I don't see them. What I see in those verses is something very simple. Tell me what is it? You can. It's written down in front of us. Okay,
Rabbi, I do see the meat and milk though in the one verse that
Exactly.
he served the meat and milk. Now there's a kashrut or prohibition in there, isn't there?
There is some sort of a prohibition that will come later on, and it's a good question. I'm not saying, Matas, I'm not saying that you are wrong with the stories that you heard from somewhere else. I'm asking here, on this point of time, what is written down? And you started to say to me all sorts of ideas and more ideas and other ideas that are not written down. What I see here, it's true that there is also some sort of prohibition later on, okay? It's going to become in Genesis and also not in Genesis, sorry, in Exodus and also in Deuteronomy. Also, it's going to be said that we're not allowed to eat meat and milk. But I do see here that even though Abraham, in the chapter before that, did circumstance with himself, and he was painful in those 3 days, he was sitting down, okay? He was sitting down in the entrance of the tent.
Why did he long for the guest then? Why was he so happy of seeing guests? Why was he longing for the guests? If not the reason that I said. My question is why?
People can answer, or not only me, but I think what's written down here, that Abraham, one of the ambitions that he had in front of him is to do good deeds to others. And when he saw that it's very hot outside, and he saw 3 people are coming, so he wanted to give them food so they will overcome from the hot day. And we can see here something else, also very important thing, that he's saying to them, if you look in verse number 4, please let a little water be taken. Let's take a bit of water, that's it, and wash a bit of your feet, and I will take something to eat. And they said to him, okay. And suddenly he's bringing them, a lot of bread, and not only a lot of bread, but also is slaughtering a cow, and he's giving them a big meat, and suddenly he's giving them so much. So we see that one of the ways of Abraham is to speak a bit and to give much more. It's very important also to know that. This is another thing that we can see with Abraham. But now you're starting to say a lot of things. In the Hebrew nation, we are walking with yarmulke, something on our heads. Now, I will tell you an amazing thing. This is something that started to become, as I won't say mitzvah, but something that we are usually doing only in the last 400 years. So today, when people want to say a joke, they're saying, how do you know in the Bible that everybody is supposed to put this yarmulke, this thing on your head? And it says that Abraham was walking alone. He was walking there. Do you imagine for yourself that he was walking without this yarmulke? Therefore, we must say that everybody needs to have this. But it's not written down anywhere. Now, what you said, it is true. I'm going to show this. But this is another level and another level. The first simple level that we see here, that Abraham was a person who wanted very much to do, I will say, to host people inside his home. By the way, we all know today that Abraham have 2 main nations out of him. Okay? One is the Isaac nation, the Hebrew nation, and the other one is the Arab nation from Ishmael. And the Arab nation today, one of the main inheritors that they have, main hardcore that they have, is this issue of, I want to invite you to my tent, I want you to eat with me, I want you to feel comfortable with me giving you to how to feel comfortable in my tent. Just a moment. I'm
Welcoming.
sorry. Yes, welcoming. I need to do a short. I'm sorry. I'm coming in a minute. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, the story's pretty deep, but there is a baseline, and the story just opens that, hey, these people, he saw them coming, and so his kindness started to reach out to them. A lot of people might want to read deeper and get all, religious, neurotic, and specific, but at the baseline, he was just a kind person that believed in caring for those in his area. And when he saw three people coming, all of a sudden he started to treat them kindly and wash their feet and, prepare them something to eat. And it kind of evolves when you meet people. If you've ever met somebody new, I don't know about you guys, but here in the West, very, very easy to clash with people on ideology, right? But kindness of that nature, where you're actually opening your home and saying hello. Like we've got one lady watching online, Angelica. She lives about 4 hours from me. I was down visiting some friends. She's like, oh, let's get together. So I had dinner in her home with her and her husband. Wonderful folks, but it just opens up opportunity that you just never know. And this I see as just the baseline. Yes, there's so much more deeper things going on here. When you reach out in kindness and just show that, you can see that the blessing came back to Abraham and Sarah in a weird sense that they weren't expecting. Do you think they were expecting, three people? Now he does call them in this version. He says, "My lords," and especially coming out of Christianity, so many of them teach, that this was, some pre-existing, right. And they get into some twisted notions. So we'll just let Rabbi teach.
No. You're right. I can tell you that there are very interesting debates between our sages how to explain this thing. And in the Arab community, where people had a lot of imagination, okay, go to Aladdin, go to the stories of all the stories that was in the Arab nation, and there's a lot of imagination there. So they saying, no, this everything here was a prophecy. It wasn't in reality, because they were afraid that people will say, you see, there is all those imagination are real, and those who are living in the Christian world are saying, be aware, those are really people, because if not, people will say that it's related to the Christian world. You see, one God suddenly is three people, three gods. How do you say it in English? The Father, the Son, and the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Yes. But now I want you to know, Matas. It's very important to understand. I'm not saying that you're wrong. We're going to see what you said, and we're going to deep down the levels, or to see the profound levels of what we're saying here. But first of all, the first simple level is that you see that Abraham had the intention of doing good deeds, to do mercy, to accept other people in his tent. We all know how much it's not easy to start to bring people to your home and to give them food and to offer them a lot of things. And Abraham did that. This is the most simplest understanding of those verses. And we can see more than that, that Abraham is saying very a small amount of offer. And on the other side, he's doing a very big thing, and not only with only. So a normal person is supposed to learn from here that he's supposed to speak less than what he's doing, to do more than what he's saying. Okay, it's very important also to understand this thing. But then we're continuing on. Okay, till now, okay, we will continue on. Let's continue on to 2 chapters later on. Let's go on to chapter number 20. I think it's 20. I hope I'm not losing it. We'll see it again, as we all know. I think it's here. Just a moment. No, next one. I'm sorry. at the end of this verse, we know that Abraham dwelt in the land of Philistines for many years. We're speaking here for 25 years or something like that. And I lost it. I'm sorry, I lost it. Just a moment, I will find it and I will show it to you.
You have no need to apologize, Rabbi.
This is what's happening when you're doing this on the internet. I'm sorry, I'm learning it with the books. It was a previous, okay. Here we see, please read verse number 33.
33, and he planted an Ishel in Beersheba, and he called there in the name of the Lord, the God of the world.
Okay, who knows what is Ishel? Who knows what is Ishel? Who knows?
A bush.
It's a bush, but what sort of a bush? Do you know? Who knows? Do you know what bush it is? Remember that we spoke a few times, okay, we spoke about the Hebrew language. Eshel is the name of a tree, from one side. On the other side, it is contained from 3 letters, Aleph, Shin, and Lamed. And it's hinting for 3 different words. The first one, Aleph, is like ochel, food. The second letter, Shin, is sheina, sleeping. And the last one is levaya, that I'm going with you in the beginning of your footsteps. Okay? So what Abraham did in Beersheba, there in this place, and he was there for 26 years, he had a tent, and in his tent, people ate ochel. Ochel is to eat. Shin is to sleep. People have place to sleep. And also, when people came to him, ate and slept for the night, and then they wanted to go away, what Abraham did, he didn't just tell them, go away. He went with them, for the first 2 kilometers, and then he came back to his place. So we say here, it's already starting to hint what we saw 2 chapters ago, that Abraham gave them food. Here we're starting to see that it's much, that this was his way of life, I would say it like that. That this is what he did everywhere. And let's read Rashi. Now let's bring back Rashi. It's just a moment. Show Rashi. When we looking and we see that there is also what Rashi is saying here. Vayta Eshel b'Beersheva. Please read the first one, Eshel, okay?
An Eshel in Hebrew, okay. There's a dispute between Rav and Samuel. One says that it was an orchard from which to bring fruits for the guests at the meal, and one says that it was an inn for lodging, in which there were all sorts of fruits. We find the expression of planting Ishel used in conjunction with tents, as it is written in Daniel 11:45, and he will pitch his palatial tents from Sota 10a and Genesis Rabbah 54:6.
So we see here that there are 2 ways how to explain this Eshel. He planted some sort of a place where he can take a lot of fruits to give the
vineyard,
people.
or
or that he, yes, exactly, or that he did a place where everybody can eat and everything else. And I explained it one step further, that also the Midrashim are saying. And we see that Abraham, this was his way of life. But this verse is giving another twist here in this story, because it says here, and he called there in the name of the Lord, the God of the world. How he did that? Now we're going inside to what Matas said before. Please read the next part of Rashi, okay? And he called there, etc.
He called there, etc., by means of that Aishel. The name of the Holy One, blessed be he, was called God of the whole world. After they would eat and drink, he would say to them, bless the one of whose food you have eaten. Do you think that you have eaten of my food? You have eaten of the food of the one who spoke, and the world came into being, from Sota 10a and Genesis Rabbah 54:6.
Okay, so now in this verse, when you're reading this verse closely, and you're starting to understand that what we saw before in the 2 chapters ago, how Abraham is speaking very minor words, and the other side is doing a lot of hospitality to people who he doesn't know at all. We see that this is something that is very principle in Abraham's role, in Abraham's life. He's doing that, and we're starting to learn that it's also related that this is the way that he's putting in the mouth of other people around that there is God who created this world, and we need to obey him, we need to acknowledge him, or maybe even to obey him, to do his way, to go in his path. So what you said, Matas, before, it's right, but it's not written there. It's written here, and it's not written here in a very simple way. It's not written down in the way that you can. When you're reading it, I will say it like that. You're just reading a story. This is where he was in Beersheba, and he called there in the name of the Lord, and everything else. You need to read it, I will say, slowly and careful in the eyes of the Hebrew sages to start to see exactly what is going on here. And you're right, also to explain now to explain also backwards 2 chapters ago, that Abraham desire was to bring people to his tent for calling on the name of God for everybody else. But this is a second level, more profound level of understanding what is written down. Because when you're reading it, it's not written down like that. But we all know, and this is something very important, that our sages are saying already in one of the most important books, the Zohar, that those who are reading the Bible and just seeing only the stories in the Bible, they are fool people, because it can't be that God's words, God who created this world, God who spoke and the world became into being, only saying to us all sorts of some nonsense stories. There must be here a deeper, profound understanding of the stories. And here I want to go to another step, more profound understanding of the story. Okay, so the first story is what's written down, where Abraham roots is to bring people to his tent and to give them blessing, give them food, give them water to drink, and to help them and assist them. The second level is what we see here, that Abraham is trying through this food to teach them that there is God in this world. And the story is going even much in Sota there, okay, on the Rabbah also. The story is even more, I will say, tricky, where Abraham is telling them, don't bless me for giving you this food, bless God who created this world. So people told him, but we don't believe in God. So we prefer to give you money, to say thank you to you, Abraham. So Abraham said, okay, fair enough. And then he took the menu outside. And on the menu, it was written down, very, very expensive for the food that he had. And they looked on the menu and they said that it's very expensive. So he said, you know what? Don't give me this money. Instead of that, bless God who created this food. So people said, okay, we prefer to bless God. Now, what I want to ask, and this is not something that is written down here, okay? But this is another profound step that we need to go inside. I think I said it already once or twice, but I'm showing it with the levels. Did you saw in your life, when someone is trying to teach, I will say, all sorts of philosophical ideas, theological ideas, that he's doing it through the food? I think that this is a very interesting story, but it's a story for young kids, People in the kindergarten can believe that this story is true. Yeah, Abraham took food outside and he said to them, it's very expensive. It's preferred that you will bless God. And people said, okay, I will bless God. And people believed in God. Do you really believe that this what happened there? It sounds for you a logical thing. And don't say to me that those people were dumb fool, because they were not. Okay, the main mathematics that we have today is related with the old Egyptian world. The main stars that we know today is related to the Egyptians and all of the calculations that they did with the stars. The main buildings that we have today is also related to things that the Egyptians in those days gave us. They were not dumb people. They were very smart people. They saw the world different than today, but they had a lot of good things to say. So do you really believe that with this understanding, Abraham managed to change the logic of the people in those days by giving them food and telling them, you know what, you don't want to pay too much, so pray to God. And they said, oh, very nice, okay, we pray to God. There's something
just that
else
simple.
here.
Yeah. It's
There's
deeper
something
than that.
here, much deeper, okay, much more profound. And the answer is very simple. We need to ask ourselves, and this is another level that we're going down, okay? We're going deeper inside, I will say. It's not going down, it's going deeper. There's another level. If I'm asking myself why God created us in such a way that every day we need to eat 3 times a day. Why? Today it's so normal for us, so we're not thinking about this. But let's go, for example, if God would have created us that 3 times a day, we need to stand upside down for half an hour. You're not thinking like that. You're saying to somebody, it's dumb fool. Why God created us that 3 times a day we need to eat, and the understanding of that also that we need also to go to the bathroom. Sorry, I need to say that. And we need to organize bathrooms inside our homes, and it's very stinky, and we need to clean them up every time. Why God created us in this manner, in this way? He wanted to teach us that the way that we can stay alive is related to things outside of us. And this is the first step to start to think, also my existence is related to God outside of me who gave me life. This is the way that we're starting to live the existence of God. Now, please read what Rashi is saying. Read it again. And he called there, in the name of God, the creator of the world. Please read Rashi.
And he called there, etc., by means of that Aishel, the name of the Holy One, blessed be he, was called God of the whole world. After they would eat and drink, he would say to them, bless the one of whose food you have eaten. Do you think that you have eaten of my food? You have eaten of the food of the one who spoke, and the world came into being.
Suddenly, it's starting to listen to us in a much deeper level. It's not only that he said to them, there's someone who created this world. On the same level that the food is giving me to my body existence, and I'm managing to stay alive. And if I won't eat for 7 days, God forbid, me or someone else, if someone won't eat for 7 days, he will die. On the same level, if you won't have any connection with God who created this world, you will die. You can think for yourself that you can live here without this connection, but you won't be able to be alive. You will be only your body will be alive, but your soul, your living, will get lost. And this is something that Abraham taught through the experience that everyone managed to feel with the eating that he ate by Abraham. So now we're starting to see the level of the story. Now, when we peeling this down inside, we see in this verse that the level of the story that Abraham is giving food to people is much more deeper, that he used it to bring the name of God to the existence of the people. And we're peeling it even deeper inside, and we see that there's a deep connection between those two understanding. When someone is eating, so something outside of him is giving him life, and the same level, also the spiritual level is outside of him. And let's go to another level of understanding. I'm going another one, fourth one, okay? This is the way. Now let's look, for example, in a moment, on the potato, okay? I'm gonna take a potato. I like to do this as a chips, and then it's very, very tasty, very crunchy in my mouth, and I really like it. Depends how much the oil stood, in the pot there, but if it's fresh, it's also very tasty. And let's look on the eyes of the potato, from the potato eyes, I will say it like that. The potato is a very interesting person, if I can call it like that. And he's saying to himself, God created me. Thank God I'm a potato. But I want to go up one level, 2 levels. I want to become something human. I can't. I'm only a potato. What can I do? If men will eat me, I will become part of a man. And then what will happen? I will be a potato. I will be also a human. Because part of the potato is becoming a human. Same thing with the animal. Now, we need to understand this is suddenly putting all of this world to be much more united. Because I, as a human, managing to take also other parts of the world here and to put it to become a human, the very highest level that could be. And they are happy with that. How do I know that they are happy with that? Because you can see when I'm taking out the carrot from the ground, it's not screaming, okay? And it's very happy. For sure, the carrot will go up one level. Maybe the mouse will eat it, and maybe a person will eat it, but it will move up one level. But when you're taking an animal and you're slaughtering the animal, it's crying, it's saying, ah, why? Because it's asking himself, the chicken that is being slaughtered is asking himself, a man is going to eat me, but this man is behaving one step above me, so I will go one step above because he's a righteous man, or this man is just, just like an animal, but he's a man, so it's useless. Why are they slaughtering me for that? So he is crying for that. And we managing to do here some sort of a uniting this world, all the levels of the world, all the things that like the salt and the uranium, all the things that we're eating, the metal that we're eating, also the vegetables and also the animals, we're managing to reunite all of us together through the body of the human. And we have also recognition enough, we can recognize God. And this is what is written down here. Be aware that you're eating and bless the Almighty who created this world. And the word blessing, to say thank you, only us that we have this free will and we have the possibility to decide, are we saying thank you or not? We're managing to take everything from this world and to unite everything to the one God who created this world. Now, this is another deeper understanding, profound understanding of what's happening here. So now we started with a very simple story that is written down in the Bible. We see here in the second stage, this is this verse, that we see that this simple story is hiding a much more profound understanding of how Abraham used this thing to teach people theological understanding. Then we learned a deeper understanding of theological understanding, we went another deeper level. And then we learned that it's also reuniting all of us back to be one world, to everything is being created by one God. So we have here 4 different levels of understanding. And this is exactly what our sages are explaining to us with everything in this Bible, that we have those who are looking only on the stories. I will say they're saying very bad things about those people. To understand only the stories, it's, it's a bit more, one step, very small step from the animals. But at the end of the days, this is not what God told us. God started to teach us much more profound understanding in this Bible. And those understanding we have already from the prophets, and we have it in the inheritance that we have along the history. We preserved it, those understanding. And those are things that I'm trying to teach, or I'm trying to say in the last year that we are learning, to understand that those stories are not just stories. They are hiding inside more profound understanding that we will live the right way with the connection with God and be related with Him in our mind and our will to be closer to God and not to be far from Him. And this is my answer to what you asked last week, Matas, with how come we are learning with how can I learn it by myself? Also me, as a rabbi, I have rabbis. I am part of this chain, and I'm not inventing ideas. I'm learning what I was being taught along history. Now, it is true that because the world is all the time moving on, there are angles and there are things that we are seeing today that maybe we never saw before. But again, you must have also rabbis so you can understand this chain
in its perspective, yeah,
in the right way, and not to, I will say, invent all sorts of ideas for yourself. And one of the most amazing things that I see along, I will say, today in the internet, that a lot of people that are in the, I will say, in the Christian world that are teaching the Bible, they are teaching only the stories. And I think it's nice. To teach only the stories, it's nice. Let's learn the stories. But this is only the surface. It's only the surface. When you're starting to dive inside and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper to understand what exactly those stories are telling us, you're saying to yourself, it's not enough just to know the stories. It's fair enough, but it's not enough. And yesterday, when I spoke with Terry and Scotty, they were both of them, so the others will know also, both of them were pastors, and they taught a lot of things. And they told me the way that they had their journey. And each one of them told me it's in a different way, but they saw one of the Bible chapters, the Old Testament, and suddenly they saw that there is a lot of contradiction with what's written down and what the Christian world is telling. So I'm not going around like Rabbi Tuvi Singer, and I really honor him very much, and I like him very much, and we speak him from time to time also. But Rabbi Tuvi Singer, it's good also what he's doing, but I'm not in his path. He is saying to everybody, look, you're doing your wrong things, you're learning wrong in the wrong way. I'm saying, I'm not trying to show all the time the darkness or the hard things or the bad things that they're doing. Those who want to believe in Jesus, God bless them. Maybe one day they will wake up. But those who already moved on and started to ask themselves a lot of questions, it's my obligation to expose, to show, to open the eyes and to see underneath the surface, not only the stories that we have in this Bible, but to start to understand in a much deeper level, what is it here in those things that we are teaching, and why those things can heal the world from all of the problems that we have today.
Yes. Heal the world.
Rabbi, I wanted just a short comment, as you were saying about those books and about learning by yourself. I just remembered like a joke about Hasid and Litvak. They have the argument, and Hasid says, "Who needs the books? We have a Rebbe." And Litvak says, "Who needs the Rebbe? We have a books." So if you combine those two, books and Rebbe, it is very good. I wanted to ask you a small question. You were talking about 4 levels.
We just a moment. First of all, as a Litvak, it's a very good joke. It's okay. I'm also a Litvak. And the second thing I want to say, I need to be very careful because your small questions are managing to bring out of me later on a long lesson. So it's okay. Yes, go on. I'm listening. I'm listening carefully.
So you were talking about 4 levels. So those were 4 levels of Midrash, or those were 4 levels of Torah like Pardes?
This is only an example of 4 levels. The truth is that there are 4 levels of not only the Midrash. We're speaking about 4 levels is Pshat, Remez, Drash, Midrash, and Sod. Okay? So we're speaking about the story itself. This is the Pshat. And then we have also all sorts of hints. For example, the word here, the word Eshel is hinting something. And I explained it. It's hinting eating, sleeping, and also speaking with the people, going with them, along with their journey. When I'm saying that Abraham went with them, I'm saying that he went with them in the journey. So we're speaking, here's a hint. And this is the second understanding. And then we have another deeper understanding, the Midrash, what we read here. And we have another deeper understanding. And I started to hint from the Kabbalah things. I'm not a big Kabbalist person, but I started to explain here another level that is related to the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah is explaining why are we eating and what exactly the eating is and how we're going to reunite all the world together. And this is something that in our logic is also related wherever, wherever you are, wherever you stay, wherever, in what age you are in the history, still we are working together to reunite all the world together, not only the people, but also the animals, also the vegetables, also everything because everything is related to one God. And it's also related to this Midrash that is saying, be aware to this God who said and the world became. So we're speaking here about 4 levels, Pshat, Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. And I showed an example. Again, we can, for each one of them, we can go to a deeper, to a more profound level. We can explain each one of them in a different lesson. For example, the issue of eating, and that we are combining all of us together, is bringing us, the human, to be the messenger for all of the world. So now, when I'm praying, for example, it's not only Chaim praying, myself. I'm praying also with the potatoes that I ate yesterday, and with the chicken that I ate yesterday, and the chicken and the potato. It was only a schnitzel, what we say in English, in some sort of a interesting food. So fried Kentucky chicken, how do you say it? Yes. FCK, something like that.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
KFC.
KFC, yes, KFC. So I'm eating, everything suddenly. When I'm praying, it's not only me praying, everything that inside me is praying. So this Kentucky chicken and also the chips and everything else that I ate there, the onions, everything is praying. So I'm suddenly, and we can continue on to understand in a deeper way, every root that I said here. But again, those things, if you don't have rabbis and you only on the books, you're starting to get confused. You're getting a lot of involvement of, a lot of ideas are going scrambling together like inside the marbles.
Yeah, like eggs.
Like eggs.
Like chulam.
Like
Rabbi, all I can say is that what you've really shown us today is profound. To consider the deeper level, but also when we're looking under the hood or peeling back the veneer and trying to dive in, we don't make anything up. It has to be in harmony and in connection with all that is. And I find that nobody explains this any clearer than the Hebrew people and their tradition, and to make it all come together in perfect harmony. And I really think you touched on something today very, very profound for our audience. We have had several people in Germany and people of German descent go wunderbar. They're basically, thanking you for the kind word, then the way that you've profoundly opened up and unfurled the depth of Torah for them. And, we so enjoy that you take the time out of your schedule for us. But we're at an hour and 10 minute mark. How many more questions do you want to take, Rabbi?
The only thing, first of all, next week, hopefully the same thing. I wanted to say to you, Chacham Dan, maybe we need to speak about this more in depth in between us, but I think that to reorganize some sort of a site that with courses that will explain all those things that we're teaching here in a way that is also related how to teach people and what to do. I think it's also a very good idea, and I want to push you to do that.
I've done a few templates already, Rabbi, and I already have a software plugin already updated for a whole academy. Long story short, we'll have to talk, but I need some direction and guidance. My only concern is, as one of the 70 nations, a non-Jewish person, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. I've got a few wonderful friends out there, one in Seattle, a few others that will put me in check. Is that over the line? They'll ask, and so I'm one of these persons, I've been once bitten, twice shy, and I don't want to make any steps I'm not supposed to, and then find out I'm over the line. So I'm really relying on your guidance as a rabbi.
I will assist you with this, okay? That you won't go over the steps and everything else. And I also think that there are things here that we can reorganize as also courses. But I think it's very important because today, one of the things that is inside the internet, also the possibility of trying to learn for yourself and becoming with yourself. And it's very important to have the right site and the right people there, that people won't do all sorts of ideas for themselves, I will say it like that it will be in the right stage, in the right steps and everything else. So this is very important. If someone wants to say a comment, to ask something, I have another 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Hi, Rabbi.
Good to see you. Good to hear you. Yes,
hey.
Hi.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the lesson. It was amazing, as always. My question is it's related to Abraham. We see that he was really eager and happy to host people on his place. My question is, maybe he was so happy to do it because he knew that there was a huge blessing coming through it. I mean, he knew that God kind of sent him the visitors in order to give him merit to have a blessing afterwards.
What you're saying, no, he didn't know that he's going to get a blessing in the first story that we show. He didn't know that. It is something very inside Abraham. By the way, our sages are asking us from where Abraham learned that it's so important to do this mercy, to give others from himself, to be so generous. And they're telling us that he learned it from Noah in the ark. How come? What Noah did in the ark, I was supposed to teach this today, but we'll learn this next week. It was a full year that he was in the ark. And what exactly Noah and his sons did in the ark? They gave food. They served the animals. They gave food to the animals. And this is what it's written down, that God gave mercy to the ark. We said that the ark was like the womb of the woman for the next world to come, the world after the flood. But God asked himself, what is the how do you say it in English? Why I'm giving them the opportunity to live to Noach and his sons, because they're doing good deeds and they're doing a lot of generous to the animals. And Abraham said to himself, if doing these generous things, giving food to animals, blessed that the world didn't wiped off, but we had some sort of a seeds in this world to a new world. So of course, if I'll give good things to people, it will be blessing the world. This is what Abraham did. So since then, he opened his tent, as we're reading here, and he said, everyone can come and eat here. Everyone can come and get blessing here. And one of the things that happened, after a lot of years that he did it, that also God sent him angels, and they also blessed him. But it didn't start with him blessing them, getting blessed, those blessings, okay? It didn't start like that. It started with Abraham saying to himself, I will imitate Noach, but one step further. He did it only to the animals. And here you see how the world got rebuilt because Noach did it to the animals. So of course, if I will do it for people, the world will come, even better. This is Abraham. So we also spoke a few words about Noach. Okay. Noach is related to everybody, not only to the Hebrew nation.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. But I actually said it because I don't know. I heard back in the past that when God is sending you someone to stay at your place is because He wants to bless you as well. I don't know if that is true.
Today we know that it's also true. Okay, it is true. Again, Abraham was the first one, but it is true when someone is sending you someone and you helping him, assisting him, doing good things for him and everything, it's you also getting back a blessing from that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Okay. Renat, everything is okay. Timothy, everything is okay. Who else is here? Yes.
A short question, Rabbi, but probably
Yes.
Timothy, you wanted.
Oh, yeah, I have a couple, but there's not enough time. I was just wondering what you think of this Bible. Can you see it?
I don't see who
It's
published it.
Sinai or something like that. It's from Tel Aviv.
It's a good
I
one.
think.
It's a good one. It's
Yeah.
in English?
English Hebrew translation.
Yes. It's a good one.
Or,
Yes,
okay.
Sinai is a good one. Yes, I think so. If I
Yeah,
remember,
Sinai,
yes.
I think.
Yes. It's a good one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Renat. Yes.
In the modern world, people less and less have time to share the meal together. I've seen both worlds because I'm coming from the places, especially in the older times, it was very important that the families would gather around the table and they would have a dinner together. But then I grew in the times where people in my family also, we didn't have time, and whoever would came first grab something from the fridge, eat a lot, and so forth. So though, however, I know that in some countries it's still there is this custom, like in Georgia, Armenia, all these Middle East countries. So does God wants or require from us that whenever we have possibility to share the meal, and what are the implications that we don't do this? Like, for instance, again, in the Western world, people less and less they share the meal. So what are the spiritual implications of this?
First of all, I think that this is one of the bad defaults of the world today, okay? The Hebrew nation, for example, I'm saying all the time, a Noahide person is not he doesn't have the obligation of doing the Shabbat, but there are a few costumes of the Shabbat that I'm really offering that everybody will take. For example, every Saturday night, it's Friday night basically, not Saturday night, Friday night. For us, it's already Saturday. Every Friday night on Shabbat, we are closing all the devices, all the computer, all the phones, everything else. And we are sitting, the families, and also hosting one each other, hosting friends. And it's very important, I will say, costume that we are doing. And I think that to do this once a week, a day of a week, of putting everything aside and speaking one with each other, not through the devices. You know, you can see today families sitting together to eat dinner, when everybody is with his own device, and you're looking inside, you see that they're speaking one with each other on the WhatsApp. So it's very nice. Take down the device and start to speak one with each other, not through the WhatsApp. So if you're asking me, there are a few things that I'm saying all the time, I'm offering all the time, that it's very important to do. This is one of the main faults of the modern world. And it's also interesting that the psychologists in the United States and also in Europe are saying that all these people are feeling more and more lonely. And if you're asking me, one of the repairs for this thing is the Noahide community through the internet and also through face-to-face. To put timings that we are gathering, that we are sitting together, that we are helping one each other, and to find places how and where to help in my community. I'm living in Lithuania, and I'm sure that there are people who need help in all sorts of things. How are we going to give this help? Some of this help could be, without any, to organize help, I will say it like that, helping systems. In Israel, we have something amazing that it's something that people try to imitate to other countries and did manage it, okay? But hopefully it will come at the end. We have a very, very big foundation in Israel, and we have something more than 300 places in the country that old people who are retired people, they retired from work, but from the other side, 67, 71, 72 people, old people, years old, and they're still very capable. And they are helping with all sorts of medical equipment for people who are ill. And they have all sorts of things, from wheelchairs and other things. And they're coming and they're volunteering their days. Some of them are volunteering 1 day, some of them are doing 2 and 3 days. And we're speaking about hundreds of people. There are more than 300 places in Israel. Now, the ill people, those who got ill, okay, they could be also 25, 35 years old, people who got injured in their home or got injured in their works and something like that. And they need help. And suddenly, people who are retired, 71, 70, they're helping them. So this is one of the ways that people are getting connected one with each other. They don't know one each other, but they're getting the list. This one needs help, this one needs help. And they're helping them for 1 day. And they are volunteering because they're already retired. And those people need help. And, it's a very big system that is working in Israel. Just to take people to see this place and those places, it's amazing. Other countries try to imitate this thing, and they didn't manage it, but they will manage. But this is also some sort of a hospitality, like with Abraham, how to help people. I will tell you another thing. There is a mitzvah, a commandment that we have in Israel, in the Bible, that if you see someone that stopped on the road because he had a flat tire or he had a problem, so you need to stop and to help him, to assist him. You don't know him. I don't know this person. We drove together, and the road very far from my place, and suddenly I saw someone stopped in the side, and you have problems, and you have also kids there inside and everything else, and you're stopping and you're helping him. I also had it once in the other side, I had a flat tire, and so I stopped, and suddenly 2-3 people stopped and started to help me. I don't know them, don't know anything. So also again, you can find the ways of doing things, and it's suddenly the world is starting to look much more smiling to you. Different world. So those are things that you can do, and you can start putting aside. Again, like Abraham, when Abraham did this, planted this eshel, he was lonely in this world. He never thought to himself that so many people will do those things today. He was sure that it will happen. He didn't know when. And today, we have more and more ideas like that are running in this world, and people are doing those things. And therefore, I think that we need to do our steps, and hopefully, we'll bring the world to a better place.
Excellent, excellent. Well put, Rabbi. I mean, we see today how the disconnect happens, especially here in the West. We have so many people walking around with their cell phones and they're not connected with the world around them in any way, shape, or form, and they feel more lonely. They feel more unconnected when in reality, this face-to-face interaction of helping the sick, of being there for those in your community goes so far. And I think with the depth you began to show us in Torah today, how it goes down multiple layers, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to allow our minds to wake up and impact our lives, to get out there, do something, be involved, and help people out. And you just never know what Hashem's got planned for you. So
we need to close it down because next lesson is coming up for the Russian people. It was excellent to see.
Yeah,
you all.
It's five. Yeah, you've got. Yeah, they're going to be trying to log in. So
they will come over us. They will overlap us. They will shut us down.
Yeah. Okay, folks. So we're going to step out for now. Have a wonderful week, and we'll post when we're broadcasting next. So till then, blessings.
See you all next week. Okay.